Well, welcome to our very first edition of Inside the A's. This is going to be a look at some of the people that work for this great organization, and they make everything happen. And when I thought about the first person that we should interview, it's somebody that's been no doubt a big part of the A's family for a very long time. He's been a dear friend for a long time, and a lot of you fans know him. That was the one thing about who are we going to do first? We want to do somebody inside the A's that you truly know. And I think of David Rinetti as such a big part of the Athletics, the vice president of stadium operations. What a great idea to have him be our first guest for this. My friend, welcome to the program, and I knew you'd be ideal to be the first guy out of the chute.
I am very, very honored to be doing this for the first time. I'm ecstatic to be a part of this.
You know, I think about your commitment to the organization. What, 42 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, it was April of 1981 when I started. I was a junior in high school at Bishop O'Dowd High up the hill here, and I worked opening night. And we were just coming back from a road trip where we won every single game on the road trip. And we played the Mariners that night. And I think we won something like 10-1 or 8-9. I don't know. It was a high score game that the A's won. The place was packed. I was passing out. I was working for the giveaway crew. I was passing out a newspaper that was the Sporting Green, and it had Billy Martin on the front of the Sporting Green cover. And we were passing that out to fans as they came in. So that's when I started, 1981.
You know, I was thinking about this last Hall of Fame class and how special it was. And I talked about how, you know, normally these Hall of Fame classes, it's always about the ex-players, right? This guy won X amount of World Series and MVPs and all this kind of stuff. But we had two guys in this Hall of Fame class who are just basically A's family. When you think of Steve Vucinich and you think about Keith Lippman, and for both these guys, over 50 years of service to this organization, to the community, to the city of Oakland, what they have done. And watching it, and always there's one constant, you're always on the field. You're always on the walkie-talkie. And I thought, you know, while you were watching this, and watching these guys get honored, at any point do you think about yourself? Because you're 10 plus years away from them, but you're in that same kind of line like them when you start talking about your entire life you've worked for one organization.
I know that it's not common because I talk to people every day about how long I've been here. And I just remember coming in that I looked up to guys like Steve, and I didn't get to know Keith until a little bit later, but I was so honored to know and work with both of ththose guys over the time. But yeah, of course, I'm on the field going, yeah, I've always been kind of on the scene here, but I don't look at it. I've never thrown out a first pitch, and I kind of like to be under the radar myself, but I do look at it and go, you know what, it's a pretty incredible achievement for both of them. And I know that I'm on that path that, and hopefully I'll get there as well to get 50 plus years in. But I'm just going to take it year by year, day by day. But I'm definitely honored to be a part of those times with these guys.
Well, you know, I think about how much responsibility you have and how humble you are. You've always been very humble. So I understand the behind the scenes, but people need to understand, you know, they may not know who you are until the light tower goes out, and then all of a sudden you become the most important guy in town, right? It's like you got to deal with all this stuff. So if someone was to come up and meet you for the first time and they said, oh, nice to meet you, Dave, great. Yeah, oh, what exactly do you do? So what would your answer be? What exactly do you do?
I would say that I've got my hands in just about every part of this experience out here at the ballpark. So what I do is I oversee operations for A's baseball games, and that entails a lot. I get to know a ton of people. I get to work with a ton of people, and but people come to me all the time about every issue that happens in the stadium. It could be a loose seat. It could be an issue in a restroom. It could be a security issue. It could be someone telling me how great a time they're having at the game. So I just have I have myself in the middle of everything, but I also have myself accessible to everybody to be a part of the whole thing, and with the goal to provide the very best experience for our fans out here. You know, this year we've had some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, the people that come out to the ballpark still love being here, and you see the faces as they come and leave that they're all happy when they're here. So that's the goal. That's the goal that I continue to have here.
Well, and I can take people behind the scenes. It's just not a job that you're doing every once in a while, or you're just doing 9 to 5. I've actually watched you do business globally on a bus in Tokyo, Japan. If people remember when we started to remodel the Coliseum, the Raiders are gone. So we're doing the Bud Light Terrace, and we're doing all these kinds of different things at the stadium. You were making sure all of construction was going on. We're all partying in Tokyo, and here you are, and you're writing emails and everything, and you're halfway across the world. So people need to know that you're working on this stadium year-round, all the time, and even when you're out of the country.
Well, that's the greatness of having a cell phone and having connectivity anywhere you can be, because, like I said, I'm accessible. So I on that trip, I was actually kind of thinking about maybe I shouldn't go because there was so much going on here. But I fully trust my staff, and I fully trust my contractors that I knew during that time. As long as I could touch base with them at the right time each day, because we have the time change difference. But I knew that I could still be a part of it and still get things done while being over there. And yeah, I did party too, by the way, when I was in Tokyo. So I had a good time as well.
So what people also need to understand, it's just not baseball. We have other events, whether it's concerts, it's motocross, it's monster trucks. Talk about how the responsibilities also away from just baseball.
Well, it's obviously changed after the Raiders left here, but I mean, we share this building, we share the field with the facility, and there'll be times when there'll be other events, sometimes during the season. As a matter of fact, next month there's a Bad Bunny concert. I think it's on the 14th of September, and in which I have to coordinate and have to work with the facility to make sure that the stadium is ready for them, for their event, and then put back in place for us for our event. In the off season, we're done with our games usually in October. And then there's that gap where at the from October when our season ends until the season starts up again in usually mid to late March, that we're not doing anything in the stadium, and they'll have a monster truck, or they'll have a motocross event. But then we have to always put the field back in as well. So there's a lot of coordination, a lot of communication I have with the facility. I actually have every 2 weeks, I have a call with their management just to kind of go over things that we share together and work together on. So yeah, there's a lot of things. It's not just baseball, but since the Raiders left, it's a lot more baseball than other things.
And ever since the A's got involved in owning part of the Coliseum land, which also is Oracle, well, we call it Oakland Arena now, I guess. A lot of people remember as Oracle. How much do you deal with the arena?
At this point, it's still pretty much the same as it was prior to the purchase of us having it. So it's still actually handled by the management group that's on site here. So that I don't really get involved, nor does my team at this point, with anything in the arena. Just in conjunction with when we have dual events on A's games, where we have to work together to figure out how we get people in and out of here, and how we share resources, that kind of thing.
Is the old Warrior floor still there?
My understanding is they took it over to Chase. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure they took it over to Chase with them.
I've heard rumors it's still there. It's like, can we piece that thing back up and start taking some threes? How great would that have an A's event, a 3-point contest? How great would that be?
I will tell you that in my previous years, going way back, there would be some times during the latter part of April, typically, or when we were still both playing at the same time of the year, where I would sneak over there. I made sure I had tennis shoes because I would never want to disrespect the floor with dress shoes. But I'd go over there and shoot some hoops every so often during the game back in the day.
Rinetti for 3.
I'd try and shoot as far as I could, and I'd make one out of 50, but from like way beyond the 3-point. But I'd make it every so often.
When you think about all of the eras of A's baseball, as you talk Billy Martin, which then led into one of the greatest eras in my lifetime, when you talk about the late 80s and Tony La Russa and 3 straight World Series, the World Series championship, of course, you have the ring from 1989, and then you start getting into the 2000s and Billy Beane and beyond to where we are today. Just what has that been like for you to be a part of all this history and you've seen and lived this timeline?
It's the great thing about baseball is that there's always hope for the future. So even though when you're in bad times or difficult times, you know that there's going to be a point where things are going to turn around for you. So I kind of seen that through my whole career, and I'll go back before I worked for the A's. I grew up in Oakland, and I was a grammar school. I think I was the second grader when the A's won the World Series in '72, and then 3 and 4. So there was a that was a base for me to be an A's fan. And then I had the opportunity in 1981 to come work for the A's, and then we went to the playoffs that year. And it was magical out here. First year working here, we go to the playoffs. We beat the Kansas City Royals in it was a division series, shortened season due to the strike, but we won that series, and then we went to play the Yankees. We didn't win that, but then we had a lull of time, and then we had that incredible run starting in 1988, where we went to the World Series again 3 years in a row. And what a great team that was. And you absorbed it and you loved it, and great times all the way through till 1992. And then, there was another lull. And then the next group of guys came, which was another incredible time where you had the Giambis and the Chavezes and the Hudson Mulder Zito and Tejada, and another great run. And you didn't expect it. If you go back in 1985, you never knew that you were going to get Canseco and McGuire and all those guys coming. And so we had another incredible run, and then that run ended. And then you're like, okay, what's next? And you're like, okay, here we go. In 2012, out of nowhere, we get this incredible team, and we were supposed to lose 100 games. And we had, in my whole time here, my favorite season of all time, 2012. We won it on the last game of the season at home. No one expected us to be there. Just an incredible time. And we had that run for a few years. And then when the next run came with the, recently with Chapman and Olsen and that crew. So the good thing is that, if I were to pick one time frame that was the best or the most memorable, it had to be the time when I worked here when we had Canseco, McGuire, Stu, Eck, Ricky. That was because I was just a young 25-year-old wearing a World Series ring and just enjoying all this. But that you have the hope that this is going to come back again. So I never give up. I know that there's a lull right now, but I know that our guys in baseball put together great teams, and we'll have future great teams coming our way.
Ever since I've been out of the treehouse because of COVID, and I've been doing a lot of shows back in the press box, and I've really been observing the stuff going on below me, because usually I'm on the field of the treehouse. I don't see stuff. You're in the stands a lot. And I know that the people in left field and right field and behind home plate and season ticket holders, you have a relationship with the fans. Now, obviously, year after year that changes. So just talk about, ever since you started doing this job, You've met so many different people. You interact with so many different fans, and I'm sure you've got friends, lifelong friends, always new friends coming in. Just talk about what it's been like all these years, your relationship with the A's fan base.
Well, I don't know how many I know, but I know hundreds of them out there, and I hear from hundreds of them during the baseball season. And a game like the game on Saturday against the Giants that we just had, I get worn out because I've got people all over the stadium, and they'll text me and say, "Hey, Rinetti, will you come up and see me? Rinetti, will you come up and see me?" I went from the East Side Club Suites over to someone's over in the Budweiser Hero Deck, over to the terrace seats, up to another suite. So I think I did 12 miles on that day, just visiting people. But I love talking to them, and but they're all over the place. But there are some that I see, regularly. But people that come out a couple times a year that know me, they text me, and I go by and visit them. So I like to talk to the people. I like to be out there, and like I said earlier, I like to be accessible to people. So it's great for me, and I know they enjoy it as well.
There's always the stuff that you love about your job, and then there's the stuff. I mean, you're dealing with a stadium, and it's an older stadium, so there's issues. What has been the one thing? I mean, the one thing I could think of, I remember the light tower goes out, and oh my God, Mike Fiers ends up throwing a no-hitter. I mean, that was insane. You were down there with the Reds trying to decide, are we going to play this game? What's the biggest thing that you've had to fix to make a baseball game, whatever event, happen?
I mean, on any given day, it's there's challenges that could come my way. It's just to just keep things going to the best of our ability. That's really what it is. I can't say that obviously having lights is very important. Making sure that sometimes we might have an issue with some field irrigation issues. We'd have to take care of those issues. But overall, I'm just kind of trying to just fix things as they come up, and things do happen, but I work together with the crew here to try and do what we can to keep things going, and what I will continue to do. But yes, we have an old stadium. Yes, there's things that need to be repaired often, and we just do what we got to do to make sure that those things are done.
I have people ask me about Moneyball, and what I tell them is the game would end. Whoever won the game, everybody high fives, shakes hands, everybody leaves, fans leave. And a lot of time when I'm doing the post-game show, the stadium's just empty except Clay Wood and his staff working on the field. But the filming of Moneyball, I would sit there and watch them as I'm taking the phone calls. I'm sitting there watching them basically turn the stadium back into 2002, right? So you got to put the outfield wall that now has to say Fox Sports the way it used to in 2002. The scoreboards would change. The Montreal Expos all of a sudden were back in business, and Tampa is back to being the Devil Rays and not the Rays. So it was like fascinating watching them trying to get everything correct. And the way the outfield wall was different back then on how high it was or low it was in certain points. And then you got all the extras that are coming in, and you got the players and they're filming. That's what I saw, but I'm doing the post-game show. What was it like for you, the filming of the movie Moneyball, and just having to make all that happen?
Well, the whole thing started. It was MLK Day, and I think it was 2010 or 2009, 2010 or 2009. And I had the day off from work, and Billy Bean called me, and he said, "Can you come down to the stadium today? We're gonna have a meeting with Bennett Miller and Brad Pitt. Bennett Miller being the director, and Brad Pitt being obviously Brad Pitt.
I've heard of him."
So I said, well, I guess I can take today, go back into work today on that issue. So I came down here, and when that happened, I said, because I heard a lot about this possibly happen, and I said, yeah, right. But the fact that we were meeting directly, just the four of us, to talk about stuff, this was real all of a sudden. So that started it. And then I got to meet the production crew people, and then they had a couple more scouting events out at the stadium prior to them, setting the schedule and everything. And I do remember I was on a golf cart with Brad Pitt, just the two of us, and we had a high school baseball game going on at the stadium that day, and they had a food stand open right below where my office is here at Section 121. And Brad Pitt said to me, "Hey, Rinetti, would you like a hot dog?" I go, "Yeah, I'd like a hot dog, but can I tell my friends that Brad Pitt bought me a hot dog?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So that was so then once again I knew this was getting real. So they did the scouting events, and then we set up the schedule, and it was I think 11 days straight, starting at the end of August, I believe, and early maybe it was the end of August and early September. And the A's finished a road trip on a Sunday, and then we were going to be gone until like at least for 7 or 8 days. And so right after that game ended, like you said, they came in here and they changed all the pads on the outfield wall. They had to rewire lighting throughout, and so they did all this stuff to make it look like it was back to 2002. And then when the actual filming started, they had all these production people come in, and they had, they put out something to have fans come be a part of the movie, and they gave you hot dogs and soda or whatever. And so they had all the people they were coordinating out in the stands, and they started filming from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. for the night shots. And then that went all the way through while the team was away. And then when the team came back, we had a couple of night games, so they filmed some stuff during the daytime. But it was just incredible. It was a ton of work. It was a ton of fun to be a part of it. But for all the work they did over that 11 days, I think they only took about 2 minutes of film from there to put in the movie.
But more importantly, you had a hot dog with Brad Pitt.
I did. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, that's something like, oh, you know Brad Pitt? Well, yeah, we've had a hot dog together.
In my office here, if anyone ever came by my office was actually the office that they modeled the movie over for Brad Pitt. So they took my office here at the Coliseum and they made a prototype at Culver City at the studio. But so there was one scene where they shot from down in Section 121 looking up into my office. And that night, it was like 2 a.m. Both Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill were here in my office while I was outside the door. So I have a photo in my office signed by the two of those guys from that night. So that's pretty cool.
You got so many people that bag on the Coliseum. And I think for someone like yourself and so many people, I just think about myself, all the memories in my life of what happens at the Oakland Coliseum, whether it's, for me, whether it's A's related, it's Raiders related, all my time with the Raiders and working in the NFL. At some point we won't have the Coliseum. I remember I said goodbye to my father right before they put him in hospice at the Coliseum. I have a lot of deep-rooted memories at this place, so it's always tough for me to bag on it. We need a new place and we need to get out of here, when yet some of the biggest moments of my life, of my career, have happened at the Coliseum. And I got to think, for you being around it much longer than I have, I mean, you're going back to 1981, and then even as a kid growing up, what does this old building mean to you?
Well, I have a lot of pride, and obviously I have a ton of memories of this place, but this has been my life for the last 42 years. The Oakland Coliseum has been my life. And there's no other place like this place. And there's no other history like this place, with the A's, with the Raiders, with the concerts that have been here over time. Shoot, there was one year we had the Stones and Bruce Springsteen and Pink Floyd and U2. I mean, all these, just the memories that have happened here, the people that you meet along the way. My whole life is revolved around the Oakland Coliseum. So, and I take pride because I've been involved in just about everything done here to make this place better over the last many years. But I have my stamp on this place, and it means a lot to me. And I will tell you that when we do leave from this place at some point, I will miss it because it has been such a big part of my life, and it has been my life for so long.
Yeah, no question about it. And then on the flip side of that, to open a new stadium to where now everything works, right? I know they do that. They flush all the toilets at one time at a new stadium. I remember when they did that at Levi Stadium when they opened it up. There's all the things that you do. You never play the first game there. Like you have some events, right? Like over when they opened Pac Bell Park, they had high school games first. They'd allow some people to go in. Just the whole new process. I know you've probably thought about it. What do you think that will be like for you to open up a brand new building?
I've been waiting for this for many, many years, and I look so forward to it. And I know that it's never just simple, like open the door and everything's going to work right. I'm talking to friends and people that have opened up new buildings. You have other challenges that happen as well. So nothing usually goes perfect, but I look so forward to what that would be like. And I will reach out to my friends that have been through this, because I have many that have opened up new places and have new buildings, and they will give me some insight on how things went. But I look forward to it.
Yeah, it is going to be amazing. And let's end on this. Your love for this organization. I mean, you're a guy that's never had to have a resume. I mean, let's face it.
I've got one, but I don't need it.
Yeah, what do you need it for? I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, you're a part of just not like some guy who's worked for the A's and is going to have a nice retirement. The A's have been your life, and you're a part of this family. And that's why I wanted to open up with Steve Vucinich and Keith Littman, because they're the same way. Their entire adult life has been the Oakland Athletics. When you think about that family and what it means to you, not just you, but your entire family, what does it mean to you to be a part of the A's family?
It's the biggest honor I've ever had. Well, being in my own family obviously is my biggest honor, but being in this family with all the people that I've met along the way, all of the friends I've made along the way, all of the experiences that I've had along the way is, I don't even know what to say, because it's so powerful and so great. So, I love being a part of it. I've always loved being a part of it. And, a recent former manager of ours, when he left, and Bob Melvin, when he left and went to San Diego, I sent him a text congratulating him, and he said, "You're green and gold never, forever, and so am I." So I thought that was pretty cool.
No doubt about it. Well, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time. I know how busy you are, but I really felt like if we're going to start this out, you're the number one guy we have to have, because not only what you do is a special job, but also your relationship with everybody in this organization, your relationship with the fan base. There's no one like you in this organization. So if we're going to start an Inside the A's, it had to be you.
As I said, I'm honored, very, very honored. And I also look forward to going back to Tokyo with you, my friend, at some point.
When's our next? I've been hearing there's an international trip maybe coming up. Is that true?
I don't know, but I hope so. So,
well, be well, my friend. Thank you so much. You take care, and not only I, but all the fans will see you at the ballpark.
You got it. And I look forward to all of it. Thank you.
And thank you to everybody for listening and watching our first ever Inside the A's right here on A's Cast.